Now, provincial nominee program, they came into force when it became obvious that very many new people coming to Canada are choosing to stay in the big cities like Toronto, like Vancouver, Calgary, Montreal, and all those big places. And because of that, is the overall benefit of immigration is not going across every part of the country. So at that point, the provinces, because Canada operates a provincial system of government where instead of having states like in Nigeria and the United States, we have provinces here. So when I say province, just know that probably I'm referring to something that you can call states in Nigeria. Okay, and because these provinces are also in a way, they are very, very autonomous. They have their own government system. They have their own rules and regulation. They are also given the right to decide who comes to their province. So that is how the provincial nominee program comes about. So what happens in the provincial nominee program is that the province comes out with their own rule based on their own need. And if you qualify, either you are within Canada or you are from outside Canada, then you can apply to these provinces. For example, some of them, and the provinces are very different in the way they organize their program. So if a particular program that is applicable in Ontario, if you are looking at a particular program in Ontario, that same system or that same design put into that program may not be applicable in Manitoba. Okay, and that is why I wrote extensively about the 4 major ones that are pretty simple and straightforward to use. I wrote about them in the blueprint. And essentially, I wrote about Manitoba. I've always been writing about Manitoba because I came to Canada through the provincial nominee program personally myself. And when I came to Canada, I was nominated. I submitted my initial application to the province of Manitoba. Manitoba processed my application based on my profession. They approved my application because my occupation at the time was one of the occupations in demand. So there's something called occupation in demand, because as I've always mentioned to you guys, and I also wrote this very, very clearly in the blueprint, immigration is economic. Immigration must first be beneficial to Canada. Canada is not a Father Christmas who just want people to come without doing anything. If you have no business in Canada, Canada doesn't want you, and that's the honest truth. So the province decide what they need, the professionals they need, the business people they need, and they come up with that table called the occupation in demand. So for somebody who wants to apply to Manitoba, for example, you need to be so sure that your occupation is on that list before you even put in an application at all. So that was what I did in 2000. I think that was in 2015 or 2016. And I got approved from the province, and then I was given what is called a provincial nomination certificate, which I now use and tender at the federal level, because overall, the province cannot give you a visa to Canada. It is not their job to give you a visa. What the province do by giving you provincial nomination is like recommending you to the federal government for permanent residency. So after you get a provincial nomination from the province, you will still have to go and apply for permanent residency from the federal government, which is exactly what I did, and I came here in 2017. So that is for Manitoba. There's a different route, it's a different system to it in Ontario. And now today, the provincial nominee program and even the express entry program has been linked together in such a way that you cannot apply to the province again without first applying into the express entry pool. That is how they have done it now. And that is the difference between what I wrote in 2019 and what I have written now. Because in 2019, you can apply directly. As of 2019, you can apply directly to the province without having an express entry profile, which so many people did at that time, but that is no longer applicable today. If you want to apply to any provincial program in Canada, you still must have an active express entry profile for that to be possible. And I explained this extensively in the blueprint. So I'm just going to move on from there. If you have any questions, just keep your questions to the end.